I used to think time was a clock, a ticking second hand marking the beat of my destiny, a wall calendar quietly reminding me that I was running out. I believed time was something beyond our control, so we had to race it, outpace it, stay ahead of it. But I was wrong. It wasn't until I died that I realized time doesn't run, it stands still, and I was the one running in circles. My name is Orion Blake, lead AI engineer at a tech firm in Boston, a high achiever, always on time, always up late, always busy. I didn't have a life, I had a schedule. I didn't hate my job, I just hated the constant feeling that I was always a step behind. So I pushed harder. Strong coffee in the morning, back-to-back meetings by noon, dinner in my car, late-night work sessions. And I was proud of that. I thought I was the best version of what it meant to be a modern man. Until one Thursday night. Fall. A gentle breeze. A delayed report. A looming deadline. And the all-too-familiar tension from upper management. I stood up, grabbed my laptop, and headed for the conference room. But halfway down the hallway, everything stopped. There was no pain, no warning, no scream, just a strange sensation, like someone had quietly unplugged the power cord of my life. A faint dizziness, a soft emptiness. Then silence. Total, absolute silence. Not the kind of silence that exists beyond all sound. I saw myself fall. But strangely, I also saw myself standing, watching my own body lying there. The watch on my wrist kept ticking, but I was no longer connected to it. I asked myself, am I dreaming? But what kind of dream feels this real? I could see every detail, the flickering fluorescent lights, the steady hum of the air conditioner, the hurried footsteps of someone walking down the hall. I could hear it all, but no one could hear me. I tried to shout. No one turned around. I reached for my hand, but passed right through it. Panic surged through me, and yet there was this strange calm, as if some deeper part of me had always known this moment would come. I floated upward toward the ceiling, then higher still, somehow seeing through concrete floors, watching my coworkers below still typing at their desks. It felt like drifting, yet there was no wind, no gravity, no sense of direction. Only the awareness that I was still me, just no longer made of flesh. And then I began to see something strange. I wasn't just witnessing the present moment. I saw myself at 8 years old, sitting alone in a classroom because no one wanted to play with me. I saw myself at 17, yelling at my mother when she simply asked if I had eaten. I even saw myself 10 years from now, my hair grayer, standing in an empty room, staring out a window, full of regret. It wasn't imagination, it was a vision, as vivid as watching multiple screens at once. That's when it hit me. Time doesn't flow, it unfolds. Like a vast forest with no set path, only countless ones that have always existed. You don't move through time, you choose what to see. Past, future, present, they're not lined up, they're layered, all happening at once. I felt confused, yet something inside me grew lighter. I didn't need to run anymore. I didn't need to push or prove I was moving forward, because everything was already here. And in that very moment, I felt a gentle pull, as if something was guiding me deeper, farther, into an entirely different space. A space where time wasn't just an illusion, it was a teacher. A space where I wasn't just shown the truth, but downloaded it. And that truth changed the way I see life forever. You think you're living in the present? In the next part, I'll show you what I saw, that the past isn't behind you, the future isn't ahead of you, and the now is not what you think it is. I didn't know where I was going, but I wasn't afraid. There was no body to weigh me down, no heaviness, no sense of waiting, just a soft, quiet movement, as if I were being wrapped in an invisible current of light and gently carried along.
There was no direction, yet I didn't feel lost. No sound, yet everything seemed to be speaking to me. I realized I was no longer in the kind of space I'd always known. I had entered a realm that defied naming. It wasn't a place, and it wasn't a moment in time. It felt more like a layer of consciousness. Everything around me lacked solid form. It was light, color, and emotion. I didn't need eyes to see, ears to hear, or a mouth to speak. I perceived everything through thought, through a depth of presence so complete that there was no distance between me and what I was experiencing. Then suddenly, something opened, like a massive door of memory being flung wide open. I saw my entire life unfold before me, not in order, not as a timeline, but through feeling. What I had forgotten, what I had buried, what I once thought didn't matter, all of it surfaced with more clarity than any photo I had ever taken.
I saw myself at 4 years old, standing behind a door, holding my breath while my parents argued. I saw myself at 12, the moment I first realized I was different, and how hard I tried to fit in just to feel loved. I saw myself at 26, choosing silence over apology, and in doing so losing someone who once mattered deeply. But what surprised me wasn't the fact that I was seeing those memories, it was that they were happening. Not as recollections, not as in the past, but as a living present in a way the human mind can't grasp through linear logic. I wasn't standing in front of a flowing timeline. I was drifting in an ocean where every moment was a droplet of water, and I could touch any drop at any time from any place. I touched a moment in the future me, sitting alone in a white room, sunlight filtering through the curtains, holding an unsent letter in my hand. I felt regret, but I also felt peace, because somehow I knew, even in that moment, I could still change it, with a single thought. By realizing that the future isn't a destination, I'm heading toward a possibility waiting to be activated. That's when I began to understand. Time doesn't flow. It exists, all of it, right now. We don't move into the future or leave the past behind. We simply shift our consciousness, like tuning the dial on a cosmic radio, and whichever frequency we align with, that's the one we live in. The future doesn't decide the present. It's the present that invites different futures to unfold. I am not the result of time. I am the storyteller of it. I felt a stream of light flowing through me, not hot, not cold, just pure and gentle, so gentle I nearly dissolved into it. I was no longer me in the way I had always known. I became part of everything. No boundaries, no labels, only presence. I felt loved in a way no human language could ever describe. A love that asked for nothing, expected nothing, required no explanation. A love that existed simply because I existed. And in that moment, I heard something, not with my ears, but with the whole of my soul. You are living in every moment, not because time is passing, but because you are choosing. The question is not where you are, but whether you are truly present. But that was only the beginning, because right after that, I was led into an experience beyond anything I could have imagined, a place where I wouldn't just see the truth about time, but the truth about myself. And that truth hurt more than I expected. I didn't know where I was drifting, but I could feel myself sinking deeper into something ancient, yet entirely new. It wasn't as if I was being taught anything. It felt more like I was remembering something I had known long, long ago. A strange and overwhelming sensation rose within me, not an epiphany, but a return. A return to something that had always been there, just waiting for me to be still enough to hear it. The light around me no longer radiated outward. It became dense, not blinding or brilliant, but deep, warm, and vast like an ocean of consciousness. Within it, I didn't see a shape or form, but I felt a presence, a living awareness that could think, could love, could reach me without needing any shape at all. I didn't hear a voice, yet I understood everything.
There was no language, yet meaning poured into me, clearer than anything I had ever read or heard in my life. I felt like a tiny cup submerged in a boundless sea of truth. Time is not something you have to keep up with, the presence impressed upon me. It's something you created to learn about choice. I was stunned. I had always believed time was a fixed framework, a line from point A to point B, before, after, next. But now I saw it differently. Time isn't a stream, it's a field, like a magnetic field or radio waves, always present, surrounding everything, ready to appear the moment your consciousness aligns with it. Every moment exists, forever, but you only experience the ones you choose. And as if to prove it, I saw different versions of myself unfold before me. One version had become a college professor, living simply, writing psychology books. Another had joined the military, returning home with damaged legs but peaceful eyes. Another was a father, unemployed, yet holding his child close each night with love. They were all me. None of them was more right than the others. They were all real potential truths. And what brought me to this reality wasn't fate. It was the frequency of consciousness I had chosen to send into the world. Time, I realized, is the result of a soul learning to remember itself. When we're afraid, we flee into the future. When we regret, we stay stuck in the past. But when we become present, we touch all of it. No one is drifting through time. People only lose connection with themselves. And in that disconnection, they stop experiencing time. They only feel pressure. I felt my entire energy body begin to vibrate as if syncing with a higher layer of awareness. I saw it clearly. My past hadn't died. It was alive in every cell of my being. And the future wasn't some distant event. It was a wave, waiting for me to step into alignment.
And the moment I realized this, I became the one who chooses. No longer swept along, no longer a victim of time passing. I was shown that humans weren't born to measure time. We were born to perceive life. Each moment isn't a checkpoint on a straight-line journey. It's a doorway into the soul. And only when we are truly present do we see what's behind that door. Not possessions, not accomplishments, but love and lessons and truth and freedom. You are not imprisoned by time, the light whispered through me like a breeze. You're only held back by the thoughts you haven't yet released. And I began to cry, not with tears, but with a kind of recognition, a kind of release I had never known before. There was no longer any need to rush, to race, to chase what we call the future. I didn't need it anymore. Everything was already here. And the only thing that mattered was to be present. Fully, truly present. But the truth, even when beautiful, can still hurt. Because what came next wasn't just a revelation about time. I was placed right at the center of what I had always feared most. The choices I had made. And this time, I couldn't look away. I thought it was over. That I had seen the truth, had experienced nonlinear time, had understood how consciousness shaped reality. But it wasn't. What came next left me breathless, not from fear, but because it was too real. A field of light opened before me. Not blinding, not overwhelming, but deep, like the eyes of someone who once loved me and then walked away. I was drawn into a space without walls, without a floor, without any boundaries. And yet within it was the entirety of a human life. My life. Not in the form of memories, but as emotions. Each moment was a vibrating thread, carrying the reverberations of everything I had ever said, thought, or done, to others and myself. I began to watch my life, but it wasn't like watching a movie. It was like flowing through a river of feeling. Every action I had ever taken, I didn't just witness. I became the one who was affected by it. I saw myself at 11, teasing a girl because she stuttered. I laughed, the class laughed, but now I felt her shame, as if it were happening to me. I felt her heart race, her hands clenched beneath the desk, her eyes drop to the floor, and the emotional scar that kept her from speaking in public for years afterward.
I saw myself at 22, lying to end a relationship. I watched her cry. But this time, I didn't just see, I became her. I felt what it was like to be left without an answer, without closure. I sat in that dark room with her, unable to sleep, typing out message after message only to delete them. I felt the hollow ache I had caused, something I had done and forgotten. I used to think, I never did anything terrible. I had never committed a crime, never thrown a punch, never blatantly betrayed anyone. But in this place, in this field of light, I saw it clearly. The small things I once dismissed as harmless had left invisible wounds that would echo through someone else's life. And that was what hurt. No one judged me, no one shouted. But when truth is experienced through the heart of another, it doesn't need judgment. It undoes you all on its own. I fell to my knees. Even in a realm without gravity, I felt the weight of it all pulling me down. Not because I was being punished, but because for the first time, I truly saw. I saw others. I saw myself. I saw that everything I had ever done hadn't disappeared. It had stayed, echoing through the universe like the lingering vibration of words left unspoken. I asked, why do I have to feel all of this? And the answer came instantly, not as a voice, but as a wave of knowing that pulsed through me. Not so you will be judged, but so you will understand. And from that understanding, you can choose again. I understood. This wasn't punishment. This was a gift. A chance to become aware, to awaken, to finally step out of the role I had blindly played for so long. I remembered how many times I had focused only on myself, how often I thought I was doing well, when in truth I was just running from the fragments I had left behind. And now I couldn't look away. I couldn't pretend I didn't know, because I had touched someone else's soul. And every touch, word, every silence either healed or wounded. And then something strange happened. I no longer felt disgust or condemnation toward myself. Instead, I felt a light surrounding me, gentle, steady, comforting. It didn't say, you were right. It didn't say, you were wrong. It simply whispered, you'd seen it now. And now, you can choose again. And in that moment, as I knelt in the center of all I had ever caused, all I had ever ignored, a single question arose. A question that would define everything. Do you want to go back? And if you do, how will you live now that you know the truth?
I sat there, I don't know for how long. There were no clocks, no sun, no morning or night. In this place, when didn't exist. Everything simply was. I had seen the truth. I had felt the weight of my choices. I had faced myself. And now, I thought I was about to dissolve completely into a pure light where there was no longer a me, no more questions, only peace. But just as I began to melt into that light, something happened. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't a command. It was a gentle pulse, like the softest vibration rippling through the deepest part of my soul, as if someone were touching the very core of me and asking, do you want to go back? I froze. Go back? Back to the world of limits? Of heaviness? Of sorrow? After everything I had seen? I was in a place without illness, without loneliness, without deception. Here, no one hurts one another. Here, I didn't need to try to be loved, to be understood, to be enough. Here, I was simply unconditionally. So why would I ever choose to return? I thought of my mother, the woman who raised me alone after my father walked away. I thought of my little nephew, who once asked me why the sky never gets tired of staying blue all the time. I thought of unanswered messages, missed calls, and apologies never spoken. And I realized I was still tethered, not by duty, but by love not yet fully given.
I asked the light, "If I return, will I forget all of this?" And the answer didn't come as words. It came as a deep, rushing knowing that filled my heart. No, you will remember, but you must choose to live by what you've seen. I trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of knowing this was the turning point. Because returning wasn't just about opening my eyes in a body. Returning meant living awake. To live in the same old world with a completely new awareness, one that not everyone would understand, not everyone would welcome. It meant enduring doubt, mockery, even isolation. It meant moving slowly in a world obsessed with speed, to love deeply in a world that shields itself, to listen quietly while everyone else is shouting. I asked once more, "If I return, can I truly change?" And the light answered with something so simple, it broke my heart. You are not being sent back to change the world. You are being sent back to change the way you see the world, and through that, you will change yourself. I closed my eyes, if you could call it closing eyes in such a state, and I breathed. A breath without lungs, without air, but full of resolution. I chose to return, not because I feared death, but because I no longer feared life. And in that very instant, I felt myself falling, not downward, but into a different layer of reality. Fast, forceful, irresistible, as if my soul were being pulled backward through hundreds of layers of space, through thousands of drops of time, returning to a place I once knew, but that now felt profoundly changed. My body. My heart pounded, my lungs burned from the sudden flood of air, my eyes blurred with tears, my ears filled with the beeping of machines, the voices of doctors, and my mother sobbing in the corner of the room. Everything was loud, chaotic, alive, and I wanted to scream, not from fear, but because I knew, without a doubt, I had returned, and this time I would live differently. But coming back wasn't as simple as opening my eyes. When I re-entered my body, I realized something had shifted permanently. I no longer experienced time the way I used to, and that left me disoriented in ways I couldn't begin to explain. For the first time after what felt like eternity, I opened my eyes. Not to look, but to see. Everything around me was the same, the sterile white hospital lights, the sharp scent of antiseptics, the irregular beeping of machines. My mother sat beside me, holding my hand, her eyes swollen from crying. But I was no longer the same person. I didn't feel heavy, even though my body ached, even though my head throbbed as if pierced by 1,000 needles. I wasn't uncomfortable, because I knew I was alive. But this time, I chose to live, not just survive. I no longer felt pressure from time. Instead, it felt as if each moment was unfolding, each second offering a lesson if I could be still enough to listen. In the days that followed, I relearned how to walk, how to eat, how to speak. But the hardest part was learning how to be present. People came to visit, asked questions, and offered words of encouragement. I smiled, grateful, but inside me, a quiet knowing flowed. No one understood what I had just experienced, and I didn't need them to. I only needed them to feel the change in me, not through my words, but through the energy I now carried. I quit my job, not because I stopped loving technology, but because I knew I could no longer live the way I used to, buried in meetings, deadlines, and the illusion of success. I moved to a small town near the ocean. Each morning, I walked along the shore, watched the sunrise, listened to the waves, and asked myself one simple question. Am I truly present today? I began to write, not for fame, but to keep a promise, to never forget what I had seen.
I no longer felt the need to prove anything. I didn't tell people I had died. I simply said there was a moment when I was forced to stop, and from that moment on, I never ran again. I listened more deeply. I looked people in the eyes, and I began to see that every person I met carried within them their timeline, a past they hadn't released, a future they were still afraid to believe in. And I was there, not to save them, just to be with them. That was enough. Time was no longer my enemy. It became my companion if I was willing to be still. Because hidden inside each moment, even the smallest ones, like brewing tea, holding someone's hand, or simply sitting in silence, was a chance to touch a deeper truth. We are not being swept away by time. We are the ones choosing how to live each moment. I used to believe that life was a straight line from birth to death. But it's not. Life is a spiral where past, present, and future are all happening at once. And if you're still enough, you'll see, right here, right now, you have the power to heal the past and shape the future simply by being fully present in this moment. And if you've stayed with me this far, I believe your soul is remembering something too. Maybe you don't need to die to see what I saw. Maybe you just need to pause, truly pause, place your hand over your heart, and ask yourself, am I truly here? If the answer is yes, then you've already become a time traveler, not through machines, but through consciousness. And if you've ever believed that life is a race to be run, try sitting still. Maybe, just maybe, in that stillness, you'll realize the thing you've been chasing has never actually left you. If you've ever had an experience that made you see life differently, a moment of awakening, a brush with the edge of existence, share it in the comments below. Because maybe, just maybe, your story will be the light someone else needs, right when they need it most.